You got it. Today is prediction day 2023. Next. I know everyone's anticipating what is between these membranes right here. Well, I'm going to give you my 2023 predictions quarter by quarter and then an overall view. Today on OG Crypto and NFTs, my name is Troy, and every day we go over the latest news in real estate, housing, and the mortgage market. Now, before we jump in and before you're anticipating what he's going to say, hit that subscribe button. Boom, boom. It's going to be the best 5-10 minutes, and I want to keep it at 10 minutes on my predictions. All right, guys, you've waited for it. We went through 2022. It was rocky. Everyone should have seen this coming. A year ago this month, we saw that Fed chairman came out and said, hey, this wasn't transitory. Inflation's a mess. We're going to start, looks like we're raising rates in 2022. Now, a lot of people didn't take him serious because the day he said it back at the very beginning of the end of November 2021 and the beginning of December 2021, he just didn't raise rates. That was one of the biggest mistakes he has ever made, not starting then. He just fumbled through it. And I think because the administration was hotly on his butt about it. He started raising rates back at the next meeting, which was going to be in February, which was little too late, and he started very late in it. Well, the market knew there was going to be a pivot. It wasn't going to stay at zero interest rates, and as they moved up, the mortgage markets panicked. That's actually the biggest news of all of 2022 is that we just saw them the rates on mortgages go right through the roof, all the way from the high twos all the way to sevens, guys, over a period of about 10 months, 9 months. Then they've kind of floated down the last 60 days, but that's been the story. Now, the hot housing market slowed down, but it didn't stop. Inventory levels dropped to almost all-time lows. With inflation, nobody needs to sell their home because there's nowhere to go. When people got 2-3% interest rates on their 30-year fix, where's there to go? You're going to get a 5 or 6% interest rate if you pull money out. It doesn't make any sense. So 2023 quarter one, I feel the momentum of rates going up from the end of December right now of 2022, it's going to continue into the first quarter of 2023. The Fed meets next at the last day of January, first day of February, and I do still believe they're going to do a 50 basis point hike. Now, they could do a 25, but still, we're still going up. I feel we're going to do this slow burn up for the first quarter of 2023. And we're going to see the market kind of steady. We're going to see a lot of people that were on the sidelines. The buyers are going to come in, but they're going to be very cautious. And then we're going to see inventory levels go up. But those sellers, and I believe, don't really have to sell. They're just seeing it, what they can get for their homes. There might be inventory that sits on the market, but I don't think that's a bad thing per se. I actually think it might be a good thing because they'll pull their homes right off the market and still live with them and be happy with it. But if they move, they have to have a reason to move. They have to have enough money. They have to have net proceeds from the sale of their property. That's the only way it makes sense. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense selling your house and then going and fighting with everybody else out there for rents. Quarter two is going to be very volatile in my eyes. I think the earnings are going to come out from quarter one and they're going to be atrocious. They're going to be really bad. And with that being said, the Fed is really going to take a much harder look in quarter two about raising rates. I really feel that over 2022, all those heights are really going to hit quarter two real hard, and we're going to see unemployment start to spike up. And the employment is going to be a ball rolling downhill, meaning it's not going to be stopped. In 2022, we just saw the fight right now when the Fed keeps raising rates, but people were still employed because there was still a demand out there. But I really feel that quarter one is going to be that graveyard, that ghost yard of earnings that are going to come out the second quarter of the first quarter earnings, and we're going to see an explosion of businesses completely start to unravel all their employees, take out what they're trimming all the fat off, and you're just going to see very bad things happen. Now, with that being said, I think interest rates are going to settle a little bit in quarter two. The Fed's not going to go crazy and raise interest rates. I think they're going to actually, at the end of quarter two, I think they're going to stop it. They're going to have a couple of quarter 25 basis points raises, and then go, oh crap, now we have a ball rolling downhill and we're seeing a lot of unemployment. On top of that, I see that China's going to fully reopen, and if that happens, they're going to start to buy gas, and I buy gasoline, buy petrol. And I really feel that there's going to be a crunch out there. The Saudis have already restricted it pretty heavily, but right now, one of the biggest oil consumers is not out there purchasing. They're not out there actively purchasing or aggressively purchasing. Now, I also feel that the gold market and the precious metal markets are really going to blow up at this point, because I think that people are going to feel that the banks are going to start teetering, because now if mortgages are going to be, which is a big part of their portfolio, and if they're not backed by the U.S. government, like FHFA, they're not backed, they're holding paper or they're selling paper to third-party companies, then I feel that you're going to see little bank runs here, and that's not going to be good. Now, a lot of you are out there will saying, Troy, hey, well, interest rates will probably fall. Absolutely. I think in quarter two, they're going to either steady off or they're going to start going down. But I think that the volatility in the stock market and in the world market, if I want to call it, the world economy is going to scare people. And that's really going to be an issue. At that point, if the sales aren't there, especially at the end of quarter two, then we're going to see it's going to be really bad. That's the actual season for real estate. So I actually see that as a quarter two is going to be very rough on the mortgage and real estate industry. All right, quarter three going into July, August, and September. I still think that we're going to have the acceleration of job losses. We're going to see again another bad quarter of earnings. And this is just going to continue to accelerate. Now, I think there's going to be a pivot in quarter three, and not what you think, not a Fed pivot. I think companies are going to start looking at artificial intelligence. And they're going to say that instead of having this up and down world that they live in with actual human employees, I can start replacing them with machines that have higher intelligence. Okay, we're already seeing it today. We already saw there's a fully automated McDonald's. They're from A to Z, making the food, collecting the money, everything. It's already started. I think that that's the next evolution. That's why I heavily criticize the state of California when they want to raise the minimum wage on fast food workers to $22.50. What does that mean? It just means that all of us have to pay more money for it. But if you look at McDonald's or whoever gets there first, and I've said this many, many times, whoever can automate the systems and reduce employees will reduce the price that they are selling their food for, and they will be a lot more busier than people who have human contact. Now, it's going to take some time that humans aren't talking to humans, right? Because a lot of people are still comfortable, and they're not comfortable talking and receiving things from a machine. But that is going to all start to change dramatically in 2024. I think third quarter 2023, that's going to begin. And if you're not ready for the pivot, right? The pivot in artificial intelligence, then you're going to be left out. Quarter four, I'll get my notes here. Quarter four, I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of foreclosure talk. And I think in real foreclosure talk, not the 0.25% of foreclosures of people who, got foreclosed by the HOA because they forgot to pay HOA payments for a year. I don't know. We're going to start seeing foreclosures. Now, I don't think foreclosures are going to hit the market, because I think bigger, hedge funds are going to start buying these up before they ever hit back to real estate agents, but there's going to be some there. I think that that's going to be an opportunity for some people to buy. But I do feel that we're going to see much tighter guidelines and even regulation on it. And with that being said, I think it's going to be harder to buy a home. I think it's going to go back to those hard times to buy a home. Or lenders are going to tighten things up. They're going to have overlays, right? What is an overlay? An overlay is a guideline that the government puts on their loans, and then because a lender wants to make them a little tighter, they don't want to lend as much, then they put over another layer of guidelines on top of them. And so they're making it a little tougher to buy, but they want to make sure that the risk factor is not there. I think Q4 of next year is going to start to see this. And this is something that we're going to have a tightening real estate market. Is it going to be normal? No, I don't think it's going to be normal. I think that we're just going to see volatility in the world that's going to scare a lot of people off from buying, and then we're going to see guidelines tighten, which is going to also accelerate that. I'm also looking at the possibility of job losses continually accelerating. It's going to be that slingshot effect from what the Fed has done for 16 to 18 months. And then they'll again stop. They won't be raising rates, but I don't think they're going to pivot. And the only time I think that they have a chance to pivot in 2023 will be the last meeting, which will be sometime in December of 2023. They might have a pivot unless there's an emergency swan event. Okay, a black swan event that's going to cause something to change. Meaning, if we go back to 9/11, the Fed immediately dropped interest rates to almost nothing after 9/11 because they didn't want the economy to go to hell in a handbasket, to go to nothing and freeze up. They wanted to still have people feel like, okay, I can borrow money at almost a 0%. So I think that's going to happen. And I think that's the only thing that's going to really have major effects. Now, what are those black swan events, you guys ask? Well, I think China invading Taiwan is a black swan event. I think that one of the major banks in Europe or even in the United States, I think Credit Suisse, if they go down, it's going to be a domino effect because their debt is going to be huge. And when their debt hits, then who their debtors are going to want that money, or they're going to be illiquid. And that's going to be a domino effect to another bank, and then another bank, and then another bank. There's so much debt out there, especially based in dollar bills. And if that's a fact, we're going to see the dollar get weaker and weaker, and we're going to see precious metals get stronger and stronger. Gold right now is being accumulated at all-time levels. So is silver. So think about that, guys. A lot of you out there have 401ks and you took a bath. And I guarantee you that all those managers of those 401ks made big money off of you making bad decisions. And they will continue until you decide to custody your 401ks or do a self-directed 401k. You can. This is not financial advice whatsoever, but I would be looking in the precious metals, and I'd be looking into those markets where, if you look traditionally, when the stock market goes down, what is really pumping? I don't see the stock market taking off like a lot of people think, that when the Fed pivots, it's going to explode. In fact, historically, when the Fed pivots, the stock market has a temporary pump, and then we see a long downtrend because they're destroying the market. It's only certain traders that get all excited that the media gets everyone pumped up and everyone FOMOs in, and then you realize, well, hell, unemployment is now at 7%, 8%, 9%. How is anyone having, extra money around, to go ahead and buy things and do things? And if oil goes up like I predicted, you're now going to be, America is going to be more tighter on their budget because everything that oil's involved with, including fertilizer for food, plastics, all this is just going to skyrocket. And I really feel that 2023 is going to it's going to be one of the most high, it's going to be higher inflation. I don't think we're even close to being done with inflation. I think the Fed made a huge mistake in 2021, and absolutely Janet Yellen has no clue what she's doing over at the Treasury. All right, guys. So this is So I'm going to jump right into just today, the last day on the market for interest rates. We'll see they're pretty flat today. A little uptick in the conforming, conventional, basically a little downtick in FHA. Everything else was just flat. These are pretty much where we're going to leave 2022, and we're going to kind of earmark them to see what happens in 2023. I think, again, we're just going to have a nothing burger in January with interest rates, and everyone's going to anticipate the February 1st Fed meeting and the news conference afterwards. Well, guys, do me a favor, leave a comment down below. If you think something different's going to happen, I'd love to hear it. Your opinions on what you think is going to happen next year. We are here. We're very open-minded. If you call me an idiot, it is what it is. I'm not gonna. I don't care. I just only care about what you really feel about. And if you have any questions, leave them down below as well. Otherwise, guys, have a fantastic, fun, and safe New Year's. And I will see you next week.